Curtis Rowe, three-time NCAA champion, NBA All-Star, a man who seemed destined for greatness. But for all his talent, Rowe's career became the textbook example of wasted potential. How did a player who won everything in college end up as the face of one of the darkest chapters in Celtics history? The answer lies in one of basketball's most dramatic falls from grace. Picture this: Boston, 1977, the proud Celtics locker room, a team that built its legacy on winning and sacrifice. Then Curtis Rowe stands up and says the words that would define his career: "Come on, fellas, there ain't no W's and L's on our paychecks." That quote became the symbol of everything wrong with those Celtics teams. But this story isn't just about failure. It's about how a championship winner lost his way. Let's go back to where it all began. UCLA in the late 1960s. John Wooden was building the greatest dynasty college basketball had ever seen, and Curtis Rowe was right in the middle of it. Rowe wasn't just along for the ride, he was a key player, a 6'7" forward who could score and rebound. More importantly, he could win. From 1969 to 1971, Rowe helped UCLA capture 3 straight NCAA championships. Think about that, 3 straight titles. That's not luck, that's dominance. Only 4 players in history have started on 3 consecutive NCAA championship teams. Curtis Rowe was one of them. The others? His teammates Lou Alcindor, who later became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Henry Bibby, and Lynn Shackelford. Rowe wasn't just a role player either. Over 90 college games, he averaged 15.2 points and 8.8 rebounds. He shot an impressive 52.6% from the field. Those are All-American numbers, and he got the recognition he deserved. Consensus Second-Team All-American in 1971, NCAA All-Tournament player, 2 NCAA All-Region honors, First-Team All-Pac-8 in 1969 and 1971, Second-Team in 1970. The biggest games brought out his best. In the 1970 NCAA tournament, Rowe averaged 18.8 points and 10.0 rebounds per game. During the Elite 8 win over Utah State, he dropped 26 points. John Wooden loved coaching Rowe. The legendary coach saw something special in him, a winner, a player who understood what it meant to be part of something bigger than himself. This success got Rowe noticed by NBA scouts. In 1971, the Detroit Pistons selected him 11th overall in the first round. The Dallas Chaparrals of the rival ABA also drafted him, but Rowe chose the NBA. His first 5 years as a pro were everything you'd expect from a UCLA champion. Rowe was reliable. He was durable. He was productive. In Detroit, Rowe played over 80 games in 4 of his 5 seasons. He played all 82 games 3 times. That's Iron Man stuff. His coaches could count on him being on the court. The 1972-73 season was his statistical peak. Rowe averaged career highs of 16.1 points and 9.4 rebounds per game. He was becoming a legitimate NBA star. His steady play helped the Pistons make 3 playoff appearances during his tenure. Rowe was doing exactly what successful players do. He was making his team better. All this hard work paid off in 1976. Curtis Rowe was selected to play in the NBA All-Star Game. For any player, that's a career highlight. For Rowe, it represented the peak of his professional success. At that moment, Rowe's reputation was spotless. College champion, consistent professional, all-star. He was viewed as one of the league's better players. But then came the trade that changed everything. In 1976, the Boston Celtics made a decision that would haunt the franchise. They traded away Paul Silas, a beloved veteran who had just made his first All-Star team and helped the team reach the finals. Why did they trade Silas? Money. The front office didn't want to pay him what he was worth. To replace Silas, Boston traded for Curtis Rowe and his former UCLA teammate Sidney Wicks. The deal involved 3 teams and was supposed to keep the Celtics competitive. Initial reactions were positive. Rowe was thrilled, saying playing for the Celtics was his ultimate goal. He hoped to stay there forever. Owner Irv Levin called Wicks and Rowe the California Twins. He declared the team should be in contention for many years to come. Even Red Auerbach, the team's legendary president, praised the move. He called Rowe a great All-American at UCLA and a winner. Auerbach expected big things from the new front line, but something went wrong almost immediately. The arrival of Rowe and Wicks marked the beginning of a cultural collapse for the Celtics. The team that prided itself on sacrifice and teamwork suddenly had players with different priorities. Rowe quickly became the public face of this new mentality. That infamous quote about paychecks not showing wins and losses, it suggested he didn't care about winning anymore. This attitude was seen as the complete opposite of what it meant to be a Celtic. For a franchise built on championships, it was devastating. The media noticed the change immediately. Time magazine wrote about the team's disastrous record during this period. From the late 1970s, the Celtics went 61-103. That's awful for any team. For Boston, it was unthinkable. The article specifically criticized Rowe for dribbling endlessly and playing selfish basketball. This wasn't the Celtic way. Past legends like Bill Russell and John Havlicek had always put the team first. Rowe's individual statistics told the story of his decline. His scoring dropped from 12.8 points per game in his final Detroit season to just 7.1 points in his last Boston campaign. His field goal percentage fell from 47.1% to 42.3%. His assists dropped from 2.3 per game to 1.1. These numbers showed a player who was getting worse, not better. The culture clash came to a head in 1979 with the arrival of rookie Larry Bird. In a story that's now part of Celtics lore, veterans including Rowe gave Bird a slow clap during his first practice. It was a mocking gesture. These veterans doubted whether the college star could make it in the NBA. Some reportedly made comments like, "Here comes the white savior." This incident perfectly captured how dysfunctional the team had become. The veterans were skeptical of new talent instead of embracing it. New coach Bill Fitch had seen enough. During training camp in 1979, he complained that Rowe was dogging it during practice. The coach decided to make a change. Curtis Rowe was waived before the 1979-80 season began. He never played another NBA game. Even Red Auerbach, who had initially praised the trade, changed his tune. He publicly stated that Rowe's game had slipped a lot and that he couldn't make a comeback. What happened next is mostly a mystery. Rowe's post-basketball life has remained largely private and undocumented. There have been scattered reports of legal troubles, an arrest for cocaine possession in 1989, another arrest for buying heroin in 2008. These incidents paint a troubling picture. One blog post mentioned that Rowe worked in community service in Detroit. If true, that suggests he tried to give back after his playing days ended. But overall, his life after basketball lacks the clear narrative of his playing career. Unlike other retired athletes who stayed in the public eye, Rowe largely disappeared. This creates challenges for anyone trying to research his complete story. Multiple people named Curtis Rowe exist, including a New Zealand rugby player, a U.S. Army Staff Sergeant, and a Massachusetts minister who died in 2023. The basketball player's post-career story remains fragmented and largely unwritten. So what's Curtis Rowe's legacy? It's complicated. At UCLA, he was part of something special. 3 championships, Hall of Fame induction in 1993, a key player in one of college basketball's greatest dynasties. In Detroit, he was a solid professional, 5 productive years, an all-star selection, the kind of consistent player every team needs. But in Boston, everything fell apart. His attitude changed. His play declined. He became the symbol of a losing culture. That Boston tenure, more than anything else, defines how people remember Curtis Rowe today. One quote about paychecks overshadowed years of winning and hard work. His story serves as a powerful reminder. Talent alone isn't enough. Consistency matters. Team-first attitudes matter. Maintaining professionalism throughout a career matters. Curtis Rowe had all the tools to be remembered as a great player, NCAA champion, NBA All-Star, winner at every level, but somewhere along the way, he lost sight of what made him successful. Today, at over 75 years old, Rowe's basketball legacy remains split between his UCLA glory and his Boston disappointment. It's a cautionary tale that reminds us how quickly reputations can change in professional sports. But let's not forget the positives. Curtis Rowe was a champion. He contributed to one of the greatest runs in college basketball history. He earned his place in the UCLA Hall of Fame. Those accomplishments can never be taken away. They represent the best of what Curtis Rowe achieved in basketball. And they remind us that even in stories of wasted potential, there are moments of genuine greatness worth celebrating.